Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini Pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today, we have the pleasure of talking with and learning from a multiple business owning entrepreneur and, of course, IFBB Pro, who is the mom to two fur babies with her husband in Houston, Texas. She's been competing since 2016 and earned her pro card at Junior Nationals in 2021. Welcome to the show, Kerigan Pike. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? I'm so excited.
Great. Me too. I am very excited. So happy to have you on. You have been highly requested. And when I announced that you were coming on, I got a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, that's awesome. And one girl was like, she inspired me to start competing. So she's probably really thrilled to hear this episode.
Oh, I feel so special.
Yeah, you are, of course. And usually before I start getting into everything for you, I like to ask everybody if there is a ritual they have or something you think about right before your heel hits the stage.
Okay, so let me think. Right before I hit the stage, so I go back to school in this. I've always had a lot of anxiety with tests and, just things that you have to study for, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember in school when I finally got a hold of that, I just walked into the classroom and everything that I have learned up to that point, it's either there or it's not there. So for me, everything just kind of goes blank. And I usually don't remember a ton of my time on stage, but I just say a little prayer to myself, like, dear God, please don't let me trip right now. But other than that, all my practice has led me to what I need to do on stage. So I'm pretty confident in that.
That's good. Yeah. If you're practicing throughout your whole prep, you can be confident that even if you black out up there and you don't remember, your body at least probably does.
Yeah, I don't remember most of my stage time.
I used to be like that too. And I remember bits and pieces, but now I remember everything. And I don't know what changed, if it was just I got more comfortable up there or what, but yeah, I just remember it all.
No, I remember when people are on stage with me, but my individual routine, I'll watch a video of it and I'm like, oh my God, did that just happen? Did I just do that? And I did.
That's awesome. Well, you've been competing for a while. So since 2016, you did your first national show run in 2017 before you took a year off and returned in 2019 with, well, I guess that's technically almost 2 years then, with an improved physique. And you almost earned your pro card before you took another year off before you actually got your pro status in 2021. So can you walk us through each of these years and how taking time off benefited you along the way, even if there were times where you weren't sure if you'd come back?
Yes, for sure. So so 2016, I had just gotten out of a different relationship where I wasn't supported in this journey. And, I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go do this for myself. I'm excited. And that's when I actually started in a regular gym, completely. Before that, I had played sports, all the sports you could think of my whole life. And before that, or right before this, I did CrossFit. Oh, wow. So I came from CrossFit. But when I got into it and went into that first show, I was like I had never looked like that before. And now looking back, it's oh my God, why did you go on stage? But I went and did it, and I did 2 shows that summer. And I think I got second in both of them. And I was like, okay, I'm hooked. Let's see what I can do. But I knew I had a lot of growing to do just by looking at the top people in the sport. And so I took that whole, it was about a year off, but that year included a prep for 2017 USAs. And I still look back on that. I was like, okay, you were not ready to go to a national show, but I didn't know any better. So I went and I got 12th. And then after that, I was like, okay, I really love this. I want to do this like, long term, and I want to go pro. So I took all the rest of 2017 and 2018 off to grow, like simply to grow. I put on a lot, I would say a lot of body fat for myself, just because I still didn't know exactly what I was doing. And I didn't know what a real off season was. So I put on a lot of weight with that. And when I say a lot, it's not actually a lot, but a lot for me. And I think that let me grow the muscle I needed. So when I ended that off season and competed in 2019, I did a regional show to requalify. I got second, and then I went to junior nationals. I got 12th. Then I went to USA's junior nationals, and I got 8th. Then I went to USA's and I got 4th. And then a month later, I went to North Americans and I got second. So I was kind of cutting it in half every time. But after seeing that, I went through some hormonal issues just because I prepped for so long. And it was a 32-week prep. So yeah, that was a long run, but I knew I was going through the national circuit like that. And I wanted to keep going, but it did take a toll on my health. So I did take off the rest of 2019 and 2020 in order to recover that and once again build muscle. So sorry, this is a long journey.
No, I asked. I want to hear it all.
Yeah. So with that, I was able to stay about 8 pounds from my stage weight, which for me being 5'1", I think that's pretty good. It's still not like super shredded or anything. You think 8 pounds and it's like, oh, you're so close. But no, it still took me 16 weeks in 2021 to shed those 8 pounds just because, yeah, you get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And I finally did a prep this year. I knew I was like, okay, this is my year. I got second. I will not go on stage if I am not better than I was at North Americans when I got second. So I did. And won my first overall. That was my first place win throughout my entire competing career. And 2 weeks later, I went to junior nationals and I got first in my class. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Long journey.
Yeah. I think a lot of people come into this sport with the impression that they can become a pro super fast, but for many athletes, that's really not actually the reality. I think it's just there's a spotlight on people who do go pro really fast. So how did you keep the mentality of going pro and maintain patience while you were on your way there?
So I think taking that long break that I did right at the beginning of my whole career really showed me how much I could change my body if I just let that happen and waited, So it's never really been about the patience for me, like of getting on stage, because every single day, whether I am, cutting calories, raising cardio to go to stage, or if I'm like increasing things, like I'm working on getting stronger every single day. And I get really excited about that because with strength comes, muscle growth. And I think that's what kept me going. I also have always been very confident in myself. If I'm going to set my mind to do something, like I will do it eventually. There's no time constraints on that. I'm just going to get it done on my time. So
totally. Yeah. I think that's really powerful way of looking at it. And I think it's important not to be so attached to a timeline and instead be more attached to the process and the belief that it's going to happen and I have to get better for it to happen.
Exactly. I like earning things. And I'm not saying somebody that goes pro quickly doesn't earn it. Like they were ahead of me. That's fine. But like from where I started and where I am now, I earned every single, checkpoint that led me to where I am. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And one of our listeners, had brought up that there were times where you did contemplate, like, am I coming back or taking a lot of time off? And then you came back with a vengeance every time, like really improve. So did you ever truly contemplate quitting, or was it more so like, I just don't know when I'm going to step on because I'm not committed to the timeline?
So I think it was more so when I never contemplated actually quitting and, getting out of the sport completely. I think the only thing that could take me out of the sport is having babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether or not I'll go back after I have babies is, up in the air. I don't know. But no, I was never going to quit. I just didn't know exactly what division I fit
Mhm.
into. Um,
Mm. What
yeah.
other division were you considering?
So before wellness was even a thing, I considered going to figure for a little bit just because I did have bigger legs. But
Mhm.
as years went on and I learned more and more, I realized how big those girls really are.
Yeah.
And yeah, so many people, I think social media is kind of a distraction sometimes. And, having a large platform does this, but so many people were like, oh my God, go figure, you'd be so great, stuff like that. And I guess it got to my head for a little bit, but it also
Mhm.
inspired me. I almost did. I just didn't want to do, I guess, all of the things that that division entails,
Yeah.
just to my health personally. But I admire
Yeah.
that division so much.
Do you like to are you a big fan of other bodybuilding in general, or more so just the figure and bikini?
Oh, bodybuilding in general. I think being a coach and also being married to a professional bodybuilder made me that
Yeah,
way. So, yeah, I
that
think
makes sense. I think that's really cool. And I do want to talk to you more about your coaching as well, but I kind of want to go back and then want to talk about your relationship too, but I want to go back to just your journey and kind of go over the difference in your stage presence because it evolved over the years along with your physique.
yeah.
So, what did you do to improve on this aspect of the sport, and what made the biggest difference for you?
Okay, so I think this will be a great answer for you. I don't know if I've heard anybody else say this, but the biggest thing, so I'll go back to the physical aspect of it in a second, but the biggest thing for me was like getting my confidence, like, oh, can I cuss on here?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Um, Getting my confidence and realizing like, Kerrigan, like you're a bad bitch. Like go up there and show it, So because the ego we all in bodybuilding should have in our heads is that we are great. We should know we're great. We should have that confidence. And because that shows on stage. You have to be humble to the outside world, of course, but like in your head, you need to think you're God's gift to earth and really being able to channel that for the 15 seconds I'm on stage was a huge difference for me. I think that really goes back to my lifestyle and just the way I hold myself, the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I dress, whatever it is. I think it all adds up to your confidence, and that was huge for me. So besides the mental aspect, practicing. So
Mhm.
we all like to think we practice enough, but until you really are doing it, like, I mean, I would personally say like 30 minutes every single day, especially in prep. I mean, I don't think you've really given all your effort until you're doing something like that. It may look different for everyone, but I did 30 minutes after every single fasted cardio session. This whole year, I haven't stopped that in the off season, even though I don't have fasted cardio every day. And it really is muscle memory. Like I said, I black out on stage. You have to have your body remember it for you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, when you mentioned the confidence came on for you,
Mhm.
what did you do to develop it and to realize and to look at yourself this way?
Okay. So this is I feel like this question was coming and this is hard, but I feel like it's really your own just like journey inside yourself. Personally, I'm a very faithful person. When I did go through those hormonal changes, I experienced, the first anxiety I've ever had in my life. I would say even like times of depression. And luckily that is managed and over now because I'm, healthy again. But a lot of in that time, I prayed about a lot of things and, like prayed, like, God, please help me, like, stop having these thoughts, stuff like that. And I feel like that carried over even when I got better, like, okay, God, like, please let me have a good day and spread, to my clients and everybody around me, like, good vibes. Like, I feel like I built my own confidence by lifting others. And in turn, that just made a more positive mind, like, overall. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Because when you're not feeling good and you're feeling down, you carry yourself differently and other people feel differently around you. And then if you carry yourself well and people respond well to you, it does bring you up as well, because you see the power that you can bring to other people's lives too.
Yeah. And I've always been like an empath. So if I make somebody else feel good, I feel good. Or, I
Mhm.
can relate a lot with people. So just surrounding myself with more positive energy, as cliche as that may sound.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound, I think cliches are always good because they're cliches for a reason. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's a good thing. And a lot of what you're saying is it came down to confidence, but you've always been someone who showed up for herself and who, well, maybe I shouldn't say always, but I should say in your journey to competing, you got out of a negative relationship, stood up for yourself and pursued what you wanted. And you believe that you're going to get what you want and you're going to work for it no matter what.
Yeah.
Um, have you always been that way even before competing?
I would say the last, 5 years of my life have definitely made me a lot more confident, but it's just because I found out like what I can do. It's like how strong I am. Before, if you talk to anybody from my childhood, you'll know that I was like a little bit more shy. There's no way I could possibly go on and like talk on a podcast like this, like,
Wow.
stuff like that. So I've definitely changed a lot over the last 5 years. So
Kerigan, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Okay, cool. I just turned 25 myself and I was wondering how old you were engaging that. Well, that's really special that you've come so far. And a lot of that was, it seems, seeing and owning your own power and what you have to offer.
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously in coaching and in this sport and in being an empath, a lot of times we've gone through things in our life that allow us to empathize with other people.
Yeah.
What, this is something a listener asked, what was the hardest part of your journey?
Okay. So definitely that hormonal time that I'm talking about after my 32-week prep in 2019.
Mhm.
Um, I just, when I tell you I've never felt like that before, I literally think back to it and I get scared that I'll ever feel like that again. Like I won't do that to my health. And it literally wasn't because of any certain aspect of prepping or whatever. I think with like COVID hitting all at the same time as that and being isolated, like more time alone with my thoughts, it like amplified the hormonal issues I was going through. And honestly, I don't know if you've seen me talk about this on Instagram or if anybody listening has, but I've always had pretty severe hormonal acne. And I think it got 10 billion times worse during that hormonal issue time. So that took away a lot of my confidence in myself. I always had hope that I would like, get back to feeling good about myself, like feeling, whatever, pretty or, just feeling confident again. But that was definitely my darkest time because when you don't feel good about yourself, you just want to hide and recluse and you just you just don't give off the same energy. Plus with COVID, we weren't all, face to face talking to each other. And, I wasn't able to focus on other people as much as I wished I could in that moment. So
Yeah,
definitely all of the um, internal thoughts that came with that time.
for sure. I can understand that. I was actually just talking the other day about how when I'm in some phases of getting really bad acne breakouts, I just want to cover up. And it sucks because it's not always comfortable, and then you're like self-conscious about it, and it really just sucks. And I know that that can have a big impact on how you feel about yourself. And then adding on top of that is you were having hormonal issues that you had to figure out. And then on top of that, you were feeling anxiety that you had never felt before. And that brought on depression too, probably due to isolation and not being able to connect with people, which is a way you were getting a lot of your confidence and belief in yourself and what you could contribute.
Yeah. No, it's hard, especially if you don't mind me talking about this, like with the
No.
acne, it's just if you've never had a whole face full of painful, bumps on your face, like it's so much more painful emotionally than anybody could ever imagine if they haven't went through it. Like, especially with me being under, I mean, in a sense, a public eye, with like Instagram and stuff, you can kind of hide behind, the little Paris filter. You can hide behind all the filters they have and stuff. But on YouTube, where a lot of my impact comes from with people, you can't hide any of that. And that's where most of the debilitating comments would come from. And I knew it was just about my appearance, but it was the accusations of why that was there that always bothered me. And yeah, it was a really hard time, even if it sounds superficial. So
not at all. Like, I'm glad you're bringing it up and talking about it, because we haven't really talked about it much on this show. And I think it's important. And there are a lot of preconceived beliefs and notions that people have about what bodybuilders do and competitors do and what side effects that might have.
yeah.
And I know, like, for me, I don't get a ton on I don't get really bad breakouts on my face. For me, it's like back knee, and I hate it so much. And it can be really painful, but also just like, it's knowing that, okay, like I also am a building and I compete, and I don't want people to think, make assumptions. So I could see why. And then for you, like, constantly being, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you're a content creator and you're an influencer. So other people see what you're doing and what you look like. And even though there's probably a lot of people who can conceptualize what you were going through and understand like hormonal changes or understand
Yeah.
those types of things, there's also going to be the haters, really.
Oh, always. But I mean, I feel like that comes with the territory, and that's more of what I've gotten used to. Yeah, even though I don't think anybody should get used to negativity. It's what I've gotten used to. And I know my truth. I've had, I've had this kind of acne since I was 13 years old. So it's not like I haven't been competing since I was 13. So it's not all brought on by, this lifestyle and what I'm doing. So yeah, but only your truth,
Yes.
You're never going to convince a troll on the internet what actually happened. They have their opinion and that's their fact. So
I'm really glad you're bringing this up, actually, like your lifestyle as well, because I was really curious if you ever felt the pressure to censor yourself or watch what you say, like extra, due to the amount of followers you have and the YouTube influence that you have as well.
yeah, so I think with what I do and influencing, coaching, everything, I think there's a lot of responsibility. You're expected now as a coach to know the answer to absolutely everything. But really, all of us, influencer, coach, or whatever, we all should be striving to still learn as we go. And there may be things we say that are inaccurate, but it's usually because somebody just doesn't know. And, if they're open to learning what they said is wrong and they correct it, I think there's like honor in that.
Yeah.
Rather than just shutting down and like censoring yourself completely.
Yes.
I think you should be open to learning. And people should also be open to you like changing your I can't think of the word, but like changing your opinion, changing your pace, that type of thing.
I agree. I honestly, I can't stand, like, it seems like there's so many people who are like kind of, they act like vultures in the sense they want to find the one thing you said that was wrong to take you down.
Oh man, one of my New Year's resolutions is for 2022 is to make my block list longer and fight less. Like I can't. I'm open to learning, but if somebody is literally just coming at my character, you're just gonna get blocked now. I can't handle this anymore.
There's definitely a difference between someone asking a question that inspires insight or more learning, and then someone who's just attacking your character.
Oh, I completely agree. And my mom always said, like, it's because they're projecting, they're jealous, or whatever it is. You just have to keep your own peace inside and not let those, 10 people that say something wrong get to you, because there's, 1,000 other people that support you.
Yeah. It's like when Joe Rogan's like, you can have so many amazing comments, but you'll find the one and you'll just focus on it.
Yeah, it's true. And I feel like being in this public light that I am in, it's something you have to learn. And it's something somebody can tell you a million times, but until you actually learn it, you will not feel peace inside yourself. So
true. Yeah. And like, I'm not at the level that you are as far as on Instagram or YouTube or anything like that, but I have found with things like this podcast, for example, which is very popular, it can be challenged. And there's things that can be difficult. But you know what, I always remind myself this, like, this is what helps me personally, is what point would I have to get to leave negative comments and say mean things to somebody else? That would have to be a really low point in my life. So I can only imagine like where someone who lives like that is at. And I feel more sorry for them, and not sorry for them that they're in a low point necessarily, that they're doing this, but sorry if that's the case. And sorry if it's just, that's how they are and how they think that they're meant to interact within and with other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I always, so now I just ignore, mean comments for the most part. There's one that if I'm in a mood, I will respond if I know if I know I have merit in my response. But usually I do not waste my energy on that. And, but my response used to be like, I'm sorry you're in such a bad place to come on here and insult me. I'll say a prayer for you. I hope you have a good day. And after that, they never reply. It's just easy to shut it down. You don't know if that person actually took that to heart, or if they just got mad and like realized that you wouldn't argue with them. But either way, for you, it's closure.
Yeah, that's right. You said you're really into your faith. How does that play a role in not just the way you see yourself, like you mentioned earlier, but also in the way that you interact online and within your businesses too, and relationship?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, I am very, I'm an empath, that's for sure, especially with what I do and everything. I feel like you have to have some sort of human response. But I think being brought up, I am actually Catholic. I'm a confirmed Catholic. I wouldn't say I really practice the Catholic faith anymore, but I do worship in my own way. I listen to like in the morning every day to fasted cardio. I listen to the same song. It's Oceans. I don't know if you know that song, but that's like my little time of worship, because one time in a homily at church, they said, like, I want everybody to sing, because singing is prayer. Like singing along to these songs is prayer. It's a form of prayer. So I really took that to heart, because music's a huge part of my life. And just kind of going off of that, my moral compass has been set by my faith. And that's why also I'll raise my kids, as people of faith, and then let them pick when they're older, what direction they want to go. But I think it just guides how I treat everyone. Giving them like benefit of the doubt, sending love, whether they're sending it back to me or not, being quick to forgive. I just think that is another thing that really helps me keep my inner peace. And once again, that translates to confidence. So,
yeah, it takes confidence to forgive.
It does. It does. So.
So very powerful. Appreciate you sharing that. I think it's insightful, and I like how you've aligned your values with your actions and you check in with yourself. And I'll have to listen to that song actually.
Yeah,
I
I
wrote
love
it down.
it. Played at our wedding and everything. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Now you've brought up kids a few times, so I figured I'm safe to ask you, are you thinking of having kids in the near future?
So since I went pro, I want a while. I'm not going to put a number on it. I want a little bit to compete as a pro, kind of see what kind of splash I can make.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, plus we're actually designing our house right now. Like our dream house that we're going to stay in hopefully forever. So I want that to be built, or at least almost built,
Yeah.
So it'll be there, but not yet.
That's awesome. And where are you building your dream home?
So I live in Sugarland, and it's also in Sugarland. It's just on the other side.
Oh, did you grow up there?
I grew up in Jersey Village, which is Northwest Houston. And then for, people listening, Sugarland is Southwest Houston. So it's not far from where I grew up.
That's awesome. And do you have family out there?
Yes, my parents and my brother live in Jersey Village, and then my big brother lives in Austin. So
that's
we're all
really
pretty close.
cool.
Yeah.
That's super nice. And how did you meet your husband?
So in 2016, I was living with a roommate in college, and we lived in downtown Houston. And I saw a picture. She had competed like a year before or something. I had no idea what that was. She was just on stage in a bikini, and she looked great in the picture. And I was like, oh my God, I want to look like that. So she's like, okay, here's my trainer's number. And we started going down to Sugarland after classes to train with the trainer at Alfleet. Brandon wasn't the trainer.
Okay, I was like, wait, was he the trainer?
No, Brandon wasn't the trainer. Brandon was working at the front desk at Alfleet. So yeah, before going there, I had no idea what Alfleet was. And, now they're that circle is my close friends. And it was funny, but Brandon was working there.
That's so cool. And then it just evolved.
It just evolved. I mean, like I said, I was getting out of a bad relationship, and so was he. And you know how it goes, like when you can just talk to somebody and it just kind of grows from a acquaintanceship to a friendship to what we are now. It just kind of escalated from there. So
that's really special.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So you want to get into the IFBB Pro League with you want to get some competitions under your belt, it sounds like. Now, are you planning to compete next year? Are you grown? Like, what was your feedback after your last show, and what's your plan now?
Yeah. Okay. So my feedback after my last show, I was actually planning on doing my pro debut. It was like 8 weeks after junior nationals, but I decided not to. But my only feedback from junior nationals was to come in a quote unquote hair tighter and to not let my glutes grip anymore. So yeah, it wasn't a lot. So I don't think I need a whole big off season. I actually just started prep 4 days ago. So
Ooh, exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a show in mind, or you're just prepping?
So I have a couple shows in mind, but I'm not going to set a complete target date or, announce it, just because I don't want to get there and it not happen. And, it just, once again, being an influencer, it's weird to do that.
Yeah.
And, so I'm just prepping, like, this is the end of week number 1. And if I'm ready by week, 14, I'll compete. If I'm ready by week 20, I'll compete. Whenever I'm ready. I trust my coach. So
yeah, I think that approach honestly is the more beneficial and helpful approach to promote anyways, because you've learned from your past. Like you said, there were times where you didn't think that you were ready looking back, but you didn't know at the time. And now you know, and you're obviously just going to see when you're looking your best.
Exactly. Like I know what I'm mainly or just about aiming for. So I'm just going to trust Brandon, my coach, and we're just going to do what I do.
So what are your goals in the IFBB Pro League?
So, of course, I think if somebody says they don't want to win a pro show, I think they're lying and they're scared to say it. So of course I want to win a pro show, but this is a very different league. This has been like veterans of competing, and of course there's the new pros like me that look amazing. Like, this is completely different. I feel like I'm in a different era of my competing days, and I would love to land first call outs in my first show. Will that happen? I'm not sure, but I'm going to do every single thing in my power to make it happen,
Of course. What are some of the things in your power?
Okay, so this whole off season from it was June to 4 days ago, I stayed about 7 pounds from my stage weight, which for me, building muscle isn't really the hard part for me, just with how my hormones are, my genetic makeup, everything. Getting lean is the hard part. So that was huge for me for staying that close to stage weight, just because I have to do a lot less leaning out than I would if I had, let things go further, which is fine. It works for some people. It just doesn't work for me. So yeah, that. And then of course, just I'm so seasoned now. I know exactly how my body works. Being a coach, I will never prep myself, but in a general sense, I would understand how to prep myself, like how my body works, what foods make me react badly, and everything. Like, I just have everything down to a science, and there's so many controlled variables that I can, bring into this prep.
Definitely. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So what's your approach to prep? Like, do you like macros? Do you like meal plans?
So with my coach being my husband, I still send him, computer check-ins and everything, or, on WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry if I cough a little bit. I have allergies right now.
It's okay.
Sorry. But so I still send him that, but he gives me macros and cardio protocol. From there, I personally write myself a meal plan. So the first day the macros are changed, I'll track, and it shouldn't be a big difference from my last macro count. Mm-hmm. So I'll take the foods I've been eating and basically just split them up. Okay, if I want to have some hash browns for breakfast instead of some oatmeal, I'll switch it out for the week. And then on the next change, maybe I'll go back. So I'm not eating the same exact things the whole entire prep, but I am making a new meal plan every single time I get a change and eating the same thing day to day. So
nice.
Personally, that's how I like to do it.
Yeah. And I know you post a lot of this on your YouTube, which I hope that people are inspired to reach out, after, of course. Yeah, of course. And go through your YouTube. And I want to talk to you about your, just your lifestyle and your entrepreneurial journey. But I had 2 more questions from listeners. Actually, one more from a listener. I got this other one down. So the other one about competing was, how do you deal with competing against friends on stage?
Okay, so this is interesting. I feel like this is kind of juicy. But I don't have a lot of like close personal friends that I have competed with on stage, just because they haven't been, in my height class. I've had a few other people prep in my same gym, and we're friends and stuff. The other people that have actually been in my height class, like, I would say they were more like acquaintances. I think a lot of the hard part about going pro and like running through the national circuit like I have is everybody's very friendly. Like, it's great. There's a lot of camaraderie and everything, but I feel like there's always that thing in the back of our heads, and maybe it's just me, I'm a competitive person, that like, hey, I want to beat you. Like,
I think it exists in everybody.
Yeah, like, it better exist, or you probably shouldn't be in this sport, honestly. But you have to have a competitive nature about you. So like, I'm always rooting for those people, but like, I still want to beat them, So I have heard, or at least for me, after I went pro, I feel a lot more calm. I don't feel like I'm like building up to this one day of my life that like I've been working for the last 5 years, like this, junior nationals was. So I have heard that like, as a pro, it's even more friendly. and like more friendships actually come out of that, you know, backstage and stuff, because you're seeing the same people over and over again. So yeah, I'm excited to experience that because I've heard that from multiple pros that, you know, I look up to. So
I love that. And I think like this sport, you can't get mad if someone beats you, right? Because that was just the judges made that decision that day. And but like you can still get motivated and inspired and believe that you still want to win. And in order to win, like winning is a nice way of saying beating everybody else.
yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Like
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to win, that inherently means you want to beat everybody else. So regardless of if you want to admit it, you do.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good way to look at things. Like, I'll just give an example. In 2019, you know, I went from 8th to 4th to 2nd. From the shows that I got 8th and 4th in, there was one person that showed up to North Americans that I didn't even know existed. Because, you know, you can go through the national circuit and you're like, okay, if this person won, usually the second or third place person is in line for the pro card next. Usually. That's usually how it works. There's always people that come out of the middle of nowhere and can beat you. And at North Americans, you know, it's only first place gets their pro card. And I remember going in there and I finally split center at a pro qualifier. I was like, oh my God, yes. Like, and then it turned out to be Daraja Hill.
That's awesome. That's a great person to lose to.
Yeah, no, and it's so great because I was pissed, like in a good way, you know, in a competitive way. That's why I came back and, you know, had an undefeated season this year.
Yeah.
But I remember that and I was like, damn, if she wouldn't have showed up, I would have gotten it. But now looking back, I'm like, I'm so glad she showed up and beat me because I have gotten so much better since North Americans in 2019. But
yes.
yeah, of course, after that show, she went on to win her pro debut and then go to Olympia. So I'm like, okay, that was a great person to lose to. And yeah, now we've like met a couple times in person and I'm like, now I would consider us friends now. It's cool. Like I really
That's really special. And I love your mentality around that too. Like because she showed up, you had to become better and you did.
Oh yeah. No, I'm so excited. Like not just her, but I mean, for the sake of this conversation, I'm excited to meet her again on stage. Like I want to stand next to her again because I think it's an honor and, you know, I hope she'd be cool to, you know, go head to head with me again. That'd be awesome.
I'm sure. Yeah, you guys are both really sweet. So I don't see why it wouldn't turn into anything. That's so I love that story. I think it's great and it really puts it in perspective and like you never know who's going to show up. It's not always going to be your time because you're going to have one moment where it is and that'll be it and other people will have it too.
Yeah, no, looking back at the last 5 years before, you know, earning my pro card, like I am so grateful for all the losses I took. Like I was queen of second place. Like it was a lot of second places. So it was cool. Yeah. I'm excited.
Did you, on that point, did you have like a change within you when you won first place? Like you came back and you started winning, not placing in second anymore? Like did something change in you, how you saw yourself or how you thought about your ability?
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually posted on my story the other day this like raw footage. Somebody asked me what was your hardest day of prep, and I randomly recorded it because I remember I was driving in my car and I was like, oh, I'll probably put this on YouTube. I don't know, but it was such a hard day that I recorded it. But at the end of the recording, it said, it has to pay off. It's gonna pay off. I don't see how it won't. And just doing that was, I don't know, it was just a really cool experience going from that and then it actually happening 2 weeks later. And from then on, I was like, okay, you can do this. Like, I always knew that I could do it, but I'm like, okay, this time you're gonna do it, you know?
Yep.
So it went from like, you can, so like, you are going to. So
that's awesome. From capable to inevitable.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool. And I know, like I mentioned earlier, all of your journeys are documented on YouTube too. So if you guys are listening and you're like, I want to see this unfold, there's like a ton, you have so many vlogs. It's awesome.
Oh, good. I'm not the best YouTuber, but I do have, a little team behind me this year, and we're gonna make some cool content. So
Oh, cool. That'll be fun.
yeah. Yeah. Instead of me just, trying to throw stuff together in Final Cut Pro, I'm just gonna hire somebody and we're gonna
Yeah.
document it.
Heck yeah, why not?
It's pretty cool.
And I think you've really created a dream that a lot of people want to live out as a sponsored athlete, a competitor, business owner, influencer on different platforms. So can you walk us through now your entrepreneurial journey and how things have evolved for you?
Yeah. So do you want to start with more like influencing stuff or my actual job?
Why don't we start, well, wherever you feel like going, either is fine, because we'll talk about both.
Okay, so the influencing side of it, honestly, in 2016, when I joined the gym, like the old athlete, the tiny one, everybody there was like, that's when Instagram was like popping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like really authentic, like chronological order, like stuff like that. And I just wanted to make an Instagram to track my progress, and I started like posting little like videos of me working out, had my trainer there at the time record me and stuff like that. And then I realized like how big of a world it is. Like competition and Instagram go hand in hand, really. And I just started documenting more and more, and at that time when engagement was very easy to get, it just blew up. And then I joined Buff Bunny because Heidi asked me to shoot their like first ever collection. That was cool. So it just kind of went from there. And all the circle around me has their own little companies, and we all support each other. We're all in like each other's photo shoots and like stuff like that. So it just kind of grew from there. But the one thing I always was authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And I never tried to copy anybody else in my content. So I think that's why it grew the way it did. And yeah, so that's all about Instagram.
Okay.
And I just wanted to start a YouTube. And if you go back to my first vlogs, like absolute fails. They're so atrocious. They're so bad. And in 2019 is when I actually started hiring people to go to shows with me and, stuff like that. So that one just took off on its own too. So any questions on that one?
Yeah. I have a few actually. There's a few different things going through my head. So the first thing is, it sounds like the community you existed in all grew together and support each other in building each other's businesses and platforms.
Yeah, we did. That's for sure. I mean, they were earlier than me, but I came probably a year after their stuff started blowing up. But yeah, it was cool. Our little circle. And
yeah,
for listeners, the circle is Alpha, like Christian and Heidi and Buff Bunny, and now Shali has Anaka. Max moved down here, and it's Ever Forward and Sour Strips. Like that. This is my circle. So
that's really special.
Yeah, it's easy to be motivated when you're around people like that. So yeah.
What are some things that they motivated you to do?
I've always my dad was an entrepreneur, or is an entrepreneur, and I grew up seeing that. I grew up seeing the freedom, but I also grew up seeing him work, twice as hard as anybody else I knew. And I found that similarity in my friend circle. So just kind of seeing them as role models in my adult life was pretty neat. And then when they started, including me in things, I was like, oh, I want my own version of this, just because that's how my brain is wired. So yeah.
Definitely. What was your dad doing?
So my dad owns a lumber yard. It's called Houston Hardwoods. Anybody in the Houston area?
Shout out Houston Hardwoods.
But it's not like hardwoods like the floor. It's like exotic woods. So, like Perry's Steakhouse, the wine cabinets and stuff like that are all built with his woods, all like craftsman kind of stuff. It's pretty
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
So you got that entrepreneurial spirit in you.
Oh yeah. I was always bad at jobs. I would always be late. I always tried to call off work. I was so bad at working for other people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when I knew I had to actually make my own thing work.
Yes. And you have, and I want to ask you about your different businesses, but before I do, if someone wanted to start a YouTube channel today to document their life or share information, what would you tell them to consider or focus on?
Okay. So don't be like me. Don't overthink things. I overthought everything. I think a lot of that came from my skin. When my acne was really bad, now it's more under control. But like nobody cares. And the people that do care are just mad. Just block them and move on with your life. Like just post whatever it is. Like talk to the camera. One big thing is actually look at the camera. Don't look at like the screen that's showing you.
Yes, God, that annoys me so much.
Yes, you actually have to look into the camera, which can be daunting, but hey, it's just a camera. So like,
Yeah.
okay. I wouldn't focus too much on buying like the nicest camera out there to start out with. I think just taking a tripod and your phone to the gym. Our phones are awesome now with like camera wise. So I think you can get a lot done on there. A lot of my YouTube videos now when I travel and stuff, I just take my phone because I don't want to take my camera and nobody can ever tell. So don't overthink it. Just
Yeah.
do it. So
That's really good advice. What about for Instagram?
Same thing. So I think a lot of us, for me, I've been thrown through the loop with Instagram this year. Just because like I was late to the reel train. I was late to TikTok. Like I don't really know a lot of ideas that surround my niche to post on Instagram. So if you're actually trying to like grow your Instagram, really like look up these there's YouTubers that analyze the algorithm like every week. Like they'll literally tell you what to do and how to do it. It's just a lot more time consuming than you think.
Yeah.
Go learn from those people because they're brilliant.
You're like, that's enough advice from me.
Yeah, I'm not the best Instagrammer. So
Well, you're authentic, and that's what I
yeah.
think makes you so relatable.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome, of course. Actually, is there anything you wish people knew about you that they might not because of how focused you are in all these different areas of your life?
Ooh, I feel like I should have thought about this one before. I was actually talking to a friend like a month ago when for some reason I was letting a couple of bad comments or whatever get to me because, when you're actually making an impact on people and you're growing, stuff like that, you're always going to get haters. You're actually going to get more as you impact more people. Like, if you're not doing anything, nobody's going to dislike you. So if nobody's disliking you, you're not doing enough, personally. But yeah, just going back to that. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, no, that was if there was anything that you wish more people knew about you.
Yeah. Okay. So that goes back to that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I am always authentic. Like I am not a malicious person at all. I think a lot of times my hard ass attitude may come across as maybe egotistical. Especially on Instagram, I do realize that I come across as very confident, but like I'm actually a real person over here. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're looking for the more deeper side of that.
No.
I always wish people knew my true character. Like when I'm promoting these brands or like, telling you to do something that also gives me a benefit because of in a roundabout way, like it's because I actually care about other people, even if I don't know them,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes any sense. So
It does.
yeah, I'm always authentic, even though a lot of people say influencers aren't, but we're actually real people. So
yeah. I think intention matters, and not everyone can see or know the intention.
Yeah.
So
never know. you're fully.
Yes, that's true. And can you, like you said earlier, can you really convince people if they've
Yeah.
already made their decision?
Exactly.
So what are the different businesses that you have?
Okay, so my main one, we call it like the nest. It is a coaching business. So we prep people for shows, for weddings, just people that want to lose a little weight, like lifestyle, want to gain muscle, whatever it is. The coaching. I think everybody listening here probably knows what that is.
Mhm.
So that's called Hustle Harder. Yeah. So we do everything online. We're based in Houston, but we work with people, 9 different countries currently, all around the US, and we're currently taking clients.
It's awesome.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. We've definitely created a cool community within our coaching, and we just combined our 2 teams. Like I coached by myself and Brandon coached by himself before January 1st, 2020. And then we had just gotten engaged. So I was like, okay, why are we competitors? Let's combine our teams. So we did. And then the current one was born. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. How was it to join forces?
It was hard at first.
You're like, how do I laugh without totally laughing about it?
Yeah. So we're very different people. I don't know if this means anything to you, but we're both Geminis.
I wouldn't know. So
yeah, I don't know if anybody's talked about that on here before, but we're both Geminis. I don't know a lot about all of that, but I do know like the split personality thing, or the 2 different personalities. That is so true with both of us. So we would butt heads for a little bit, just until we got our systems together. And once we had our system down, and we do consultations, inquiries, calls, everything the same way now, that's when it got a lot easier. But he's the one folder guy and I'm the whole binder with the person. So yeah, it was rough at first.
Definitely sounds like a transition.
Yeah. And then I guess the other business we actually had to just now rebrand it because of a trademark issue.
Oh no.
But I'll just give you the link because we're about to announce the name within the next week after our lawyer gets our new trademark underway. So I can't say it right now, but that's just like t-shirts, events, like, fun stuff. It's like a side gig. It's really cool.
Nice.
Though.
Yeah. Give me the link when like you've got it.
Yeah.
So I can put it in the show notes and then people can check it out too.
Yeah. And then I'll just say the last one. It's a project that I've been working on behind the scenes. I haven't said a word for about a year. And hopefully we will see that in summer, but we're just going to call it Project X. But obviously you can tell I'm a happier person when I'm
doing stuff. Yeah. I am picking that up. I am the same exact way. Actually, I think it's like, I tend to think it's my greatest strength and weakness.
Oh, same. Yeah. Like, oh, you have some free time to watch a Netflix show? Okay, let's start this. Like,
no. Yeah, I totally get it. I'm always, but I also get so much. I think we wouldn't do it if we weren't getting so much from it, like personally.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. There's something really special about it. And obviously you're a person of passion and you've found that this is the way that you like to live. And I was thinking when you had talked about you guys combining your businesses, I'm like, well, which one did they end up going more like? Like, do you think you run the business more like you used to or more like he used to?
So all of the back end stuff and systems is definitely more like I used to. But remember, I started coaching under Brandon, like not under Brandon, like I'm sorry for people. Brandon's my husband. He's my coach and my business partner, just to put that out there.
Yeah.
So he basically taught me how to coach. And then from there, when I learned the basics from him, I, expanded my knowledge on my own. So yeah.
So how do you manage your time? Because obviously as a business owner, this is very important. We have to be calculated with our choices. So are there lessons you've learned along the way that you could share with us about time management?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because I have definitely gotten to, the end of prep, and I am a person that has to do a lot of cardio, the workout, everything, all of YouTube, all of the businesses. Like if I don't manage my time, I will actually self-destruct. Like
Mhm.
it's bad. And the biggest thing for me has been my planner, and that's actually kind of translated to my iPhone calendar, just because you
Mhm.
can put in the travel times. Like I will literally plan out my day, especially in prep, down to like every 30 minutes. And I will draw lines in the sand, like if this person or these people don't check in by a certain time, because I'm a coach, like I'm just going to send them a short message and be like, hey, I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. Like, please check in on time next time.
Mhm.
Kind of like learning how to protect myself a little bit more while still providing, customer service basically. But, if somebody's going to text you like on, check in or something on Christmas Day, like, would your boss call you on Christmas Day?
Right.
No, so just learning how to draw the lines and really plan out things. But I'm a visual person. So if I see it on a calendar, I can get it done.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Planner and calendar.
Yep, exactly.
So someone submitted a question about if you've ever had imposter syndrome, and if you did, how did you overcome it?
Yeah. So actually, one of my recent YouTube videos is it'll show you how I overcame it, but I'll go over it a little bit here. I've always had like kind of an imposter syndrome over coaching. So going back to when I started coaching, I was in an entrepreneurship program in college, and we had to create a nonprofit organization that helps other people for the semester project. So I created a coaching type of thing. It wasn't like bodybuilding coaching, but it was helping underprivileged kids with their like nutrition and what to pack for school, stuff like that. I I got them a bunch of like Fit Mark bags. I did all of that. So going back that far, I'm sorry, can you ask me a question again? I talk
Yes.
too much.
If no, I appreciate everything you say and I'm happy to
Okay.
repeat it. So don't
Yeah.
worry. Have you ever had imposter syndrome and how did you overcome it?
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So going back with that, I I got a humble beginning with my coaching. And since I learned from one person, I was always like, am I good enough? And then I started coaching competitors. And I was like, I don't know, like I had Brandon look over my protocols a lot before I sent them. And I was just very unsure of myself. And that's where that like imposter syndrome came from. So with this year, I've actually had all of my girls that have been on stage that I've prepped. I've done it all by myself. Brandon never looks at my protocols. Like I know exactly what I need to do with them. And then they started winning. So seeing that success in myself and literally proving to myself, like, hey, you have what it takes. You are good. You are good at this. Like you can do this.
Mhm.
And having that confidence from my clients as well, like, man, so many of them, especially in prep, are like, I say jump, they're like, how high, you know? So just them giving me the confidence and then also seeing it come to like fruition, you
Yeah.
know? So it's just more about proving myself that I could do it, because a lot of a lot of stuff with coaching is in the hands of your clients to make
Yes.
you and themselves look good. So you're only as good as your clients, you know? So,
Yeah.
but they really stepped it up this year. It was awesome. So that really helped me a lot.
That's amazing. I was
Mhm.
just talking to some counselors actually about like how we would describe our client.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, I'm so blessed to work with mainly competitors because of how driven they are.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be a champion, like, that means you want to master your life. And so I feel so blessed when people trust me with their mindset and their mental health because it's like, wow, these are driven people ready to put in the work. They're going to make me look even better because how good they are already and how good I know they can be once they overcome this.
Exactly. I love getting those people that, have the mentality and can trust me. And then, look what we do. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for expanding on that. Now, is there anything and I'm going to ask you two more questions that are just part of this podcast that I always ask, but is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish that I would have?
Honestly, I think you covered everything.
Woo! Yeah. I think we talked about a lot. I'm really happy that we got through everything too.
Yes. I'm sorry I talk so much.
No, I love it when people talk. Like I tell every guest who like says, sorry if I rambled or talked, I'm like, I love it. It makes my life easier because then we could just flow versus like question, answer, question, answer.
Yeah.
I like the conversation. So, what's your best advice for someone who's never competed before but would like to? And then your best advice for someone on their road to pro?
Okay. So somebody that's never competed before, it's a lot more than you think it is. So like we were just talking about, like getting those people, you're only as good as your client. So like, yes, get a good coach, get a coach that has a good track record, good experience, the one that will answer all your questions. Just having a good person to look to and guide you through it is, I would say, the number one thing, because you're not going to be able to do this alone. Second, it's just about having the support system and being real with yourself. So if you are, if you have never tracked a macro a day in your life, or you've never worked out consistently, you've never really put on the time or put in the time to build muscle, like you need to make this a lifestyle far before you actually pick a show. Far before. Like this takes a lot more outside of just a prep. So get started, And then for road to pro. So I think, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, it took me 5 years. But it took me 5 years because I really took off the time to do this. And I to grow and to prepare my body and, not have crazy stuff happen to me after I went pro. Like, it's just about going, like keep yourself going somehow, some way, set little goals in your off season. And then obviously go into your prep knowing you have done every single thing you could possibly do. And then you're leaving it up to the national judges' hands. There's always going to be somebody out there better than you, but you have to show up better than everyone else that single day, because you could be the person that people are fearing to show up. Like, be that person. You need to make yourself that person. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you giving us that great advice. And I'd love if you can let everybody know how they can work with you, find you online, just connect with you.
Yeah. So my Instagram is Kerigan Pike Fit. I'm Kerigan Pike everywhere. My last name's Gian, but it's Kerigan Pike to the internet. And my YouTube is also Kerigan Pike. I have a TikTok. Our business page is Hustle Harder. It's HUSTL.HRDR. So Hustle Harder, basically without the vowels. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and yeah, that's it.
Amazing. I will put all of that in the show notes page, so you guys will be able to find that, and it'll all be in one place. That's always at celestial.fit/podcast. If you guys are listening right away, it's going to be at the top of the page. If you're listening in the future, just scroll down to the category section and I'll have it in alphabetical order. So you'll just go down to the P's and then you'll find Kerigan's name there. And not only will you see all the links, but you'll also see episode timestamps and show notes and summaries of what we discussed. So you can go back and listen. If there was something that stood out to you that you wanted to hear again, you'll always be able to do that. So appreciate those of you tuning in, and thank you so much in advance for tagging us as you go. It always means a lot to the athletes, and sharing this with friends or other competitors or teammates, or even non-competitors. It definitely goes a long way and not unnoticed. So thank you guys for doing that. And with that being said, Kerigan, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode.